Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Welcome to Emergency Management Associates. My name's Ron Tyler. Welcome to our show this morning. Again, this is Emergency Management Associates coming from the Area Command, 392 miles west of Kitty Hawk Beach, North Carolina. We've come to you with an urgent story that started actually yesterday afternoon in Denver, but it didn't make the news until after 6 o'clock last night. And I was absolutely not going to come on the air last night to give you anything about it because everything was rough. Nobody had any full information about what was going on in Boulder, Colorado last night until late last night. But I want to begin this program today and give you information about a news conference that was held later last night, and then I'll get into the full story of what happened.
From FBI Denver, Special Agent in Charge, Mark McCulloch. His name is Mark, M-A-R-K, McCulloch, M-I-C-H-A-L-E-K. After that, you will hear from Boulder Police Chief Stephen Redfern. That is S-T-E-P-H-E-N. Redfern is R-E-D-F-E-A-R-N. After the two men speak, we will take a few questions at the end. Thank you. And now, Mr. McCulloch.
The FBI shares in the sorrow of the Boulder community, especially to those who have family or friends injured in this tragedy. We have surged resources and personnel to the scene. Our special agents, our victim specialists, and evidence response teams are doing everything they can to assist our law enforcement partners. In the coming days, we will continue to support the victims and help uncover the events leading up to this terrible attack. Know that we stand with you, we grieve with you, and we are here to help for as long as it takes. We're early in the investigation, but some details have emerged. I'm able to confirm there are 6 victims, ages 67 to 88. All of them have been transported to local hospitals. This attack happened at a regularly scheduled weekly peaceful event. Witnesses are reporting that the subject used a makeshift flamethrower and threw an incendiary device into the crowd. The suspect was heard to yell, "Free Palestine," during the attack. The subject has been identified as Mohammed Sabri Solomon, and he's 45 years old. The FBI is processing the crime scene and the subject vehicle and interviewing key witnesses. We're assisting Boulder Police in providing technical, analytic, and additional forensic resources. As a result of these preliminary facts, it is clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism. Sadly, attacks like this are becoming too common across the country. This is an example of how perpetrators of violence continue to threaten communities across our nation. It's our job, the FBI, the Boulder Police, and our law enforcement and community partners, to bring these criminals to justice and keep our communities safe. We're asking for the public's help as we continue to investigate this horrific act of violence. I'll direct anyone that has phone calls, that wants to make phone calls to 1-800-CALL-FBI. And if you have digital evidence, whether that is video or social media posts or anything that can help the investigators, please send that to FBI.gov/Boulder Attack, BOULDER-ATTACK. Our strength as a society comes from our shared values and our commitment to protecting one another. Any attempt to divide us through fear or harm has no place in Boulder, in Colorado, or anywhere in our nation. We stand in full solidarity with those targeted, and we will continue to ensure that justice is pursued swiftly, that support is provided to victims and their communities, and preventative action is taken to protect everyone's safety. And I'll turn it over to Boulder Police Chief Redfern.
Thank you, Special Agent in Charge. As was mentioned, my name is Stephen Redfern. I serve as the police chief here in Boulder. I want to thank, first and foremost, the FBI for their swift response today and our partnerships which preceded this attack today. We are very grateful for their assistance and will be working hand in hand moving forward. I want to give first an update on the scene. As many of you are aware, we have several blocks closed off in downtown Boulder surrounding the courthouse. We are still clearing that area for devices. We have multiple teams of K-9 and our bomb squad and hazmat teams in that area. I cannot at this point give you an estimated time for opening of that area downtown. We're hopeful it will be this evening. We understand that people's vehicles are in that area that's closed and they'd like to get them. Please follow the Boulder Police Twitter account or other social media as well. We will report on that when we open that area. We want to be reasonably sure as best as we can before we open the area and let people go back there to businesses to get their vehicles that it is as safe as possible. The courthouse, I will announce, the courthouse will be closed tomorrow. There is business in that courthouse through the Boulder County. It will be closed tomorrow as we continue this investigation. Just a couple of mentions. We know there's other events, including things going on this evening in town and in the coming week, and we are ensuring that we have resources there at those events to ensure that people are able to go about their business safely in light of this attack. But as always, we urge people to call 911, call us if they see suspicious behavior, if they see someone that's acting in a manner that appears to be suspicious. We would like to receive that call, go out and verify whether somebody's behavior is malicious or not. I want to thank our law enforcement partners. I started by thanking the FBI, but when this call came out today, we asked for help from all of our partnering agencies, some of whom are here today, and I can't thank you enough. It's not the first time we've had to do that here in Boulder, and it's not the first time that we've had to do that in the metro area. And the special agent in charge referenced partnerships. When we put out the call today, we had a lot of help, both locally and from the region, and I really can't thank our partners enough. I would be remiss if I didn't mention the first responders today. When this call came out today, our officers rushed as quickly as they could somewhere close to the area, and they immediately ran into a chaotic situation where a man was throwing Molotov cocktails and using other devices to hurt people. Our officers, as they're trained, immediately interacted with the suspect, took him into custody, and then began rendering aid to those victims. And I'm very proud of our response today. I'm very proud of our partners as well with the fire department and well as American Medical Response. Before we take some questions, I just want to say that Boulder is not immune to tragedy, sadly, and I know a lot of people are scared right now. A lot of people are upset and questioning how this happened and why. All I know is Boulder has recovered before from acts of violence, and we will again recover. I urge the community in this time to come together. Now is not the time to be divisive, and we will continue to ensure community safety along with all of our partners. To echo the special agent in charge comments, our hearts go out to everyone affected today. Here and in Colorado, we understand that this has a ripple effect in many communities, and we are continuing to stand with and support the victims affected today by this attack. With that, I think we'll turn it back over to our public information officers.
Okay, I'm not going to go any further with this video. The public information officer opens up for questions from the press. The press don't know anything. Honestly, the press don't know a darn thing, period. Okay, I want to play a short video about the suspect. This comes from Fox News this morning.
Genocidal incitement. And so I think these college campuses cannot continue to normalize it. Jewish students must feel safe in this country to walk. Non-Jewish students, I'm a Christian. I believe it's every Christian's responsibility to be very doggedly defensive of our Jewish neighbors, to make sure that this does not continue to grow, because this is the kind of thing, anti-Semitism grows across societies if it is not stigmatized and stopped. And so I really think it's a duty of all of us to do that in addition to the national security things our government can do, like make sure that those who hate this country are not allowed to be in this country, and those who are here need to be deported if they're here illegally.
And to that point, it really is just a matter of time if you let this fester even further before it expands beyond just the Jewish people and people that practice the Jewish religion. I want to get your thoughts on this before we let you go. Ukraine launching its largest drone strike on Russia, targeting multiple air bases and damaging more than 40 warplanes. Does this attack change the posture of today's ceasefire talks in Turkey, or does it in any way change Putin's plan to prolong this war?
Well, I think for Americans, one of the big takeaways we need to have is that Ukraine will continue to defend itself regardless of the outcomes of any kinds of talks. And so Russia is the one that refuses to engage in a ceasefire. And so we should not expect Ukraine to sit there and simply just allow itself to be pummeled.
Okay, I'm not going to continue that either. Russia doesn't want a ceasefire. I don't believe Russia ever wants the war to end because Russia wants to take over Ukraine. Plain and simple. We know that. Anyway, I want to continue on with this story coming from Boulder, Colorado, from yesterday afternoon, evening time period. The suspect has been arrested. The suspect has been arrested. The suspect is named Mohammed Sabri Solomon. Mohammed Sabri Solomon from Egypt. He's now facing murder, assault charges, and other charges following what the FBI called a targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado over the weekend, yesterday afternoon. A targeted terror attack in Boulder, Colorado, yesterday afternoon. This is unprovoked. This was an unprovoked attack. As you can see, Boulder police took this man down at gunpoint. The Boulder police are said to have arrived 10 minutes after the incident began. The suspect has been arrested. He faces murder, assault, and other charges. There were 8 victims from yesterday's assault on Boulder. All these victims were in age range from 55 to 88. Apparently, at least one of the victims has died as a result of this attack. The violence yesterday against a pro-Israeli group advocating for Hamas to release Israeli hostages left 8 people, 52 to 88 with injuries, including one that was in critical condition, according to the FBI. Police responded to the area after receiving reports of a man with the weapon. The weapon was an improvised flamethrower. An improvised flamethrower. What it looked like is a device that usually you see pest control people going around buildings spraying for weeds and stuff like that. It was a white container that was carried on the back. And this man had filled it full of gasoline. As he lit it and opened it up to throw the flames out, he lit it on fire. Police responded to the area within 10 minutes after receiving reports of a man with weapons setting people on fire. Brian H., who's an eyewitness who did not want to give his full name. He doesn't appear on any videos at all. He and his family were dining at a local food hall near the scene of the crime. This local food hall was on a walking mall. There was no cars allowed on it at all. It's called Pearl Street Walking Mall in Boulder, Colorado. Denver also has a very large walking mall down the center of town. This was in Boulder, Colorado. Brian H. said he saw a woman running towards him saying a man was throwing fire at people. Brian got up and ran into the courtyard where he saw a man carrying a tank on his back that resembled a gardening chemical sprayer, a makeshift flamethrower. Likely he did not require complex materials. Videos obtained by the news media show witnesses to the attack saying Solomon was making Molotov cocktails as well. He had some bottles, some glass bottles that he had made into Molotov cocktails. He was also throwing those at the street. Brian H. said, I saw fabric coming out of it. I quickly realized that it was a Molotov cocktail. One had already exploded in front of me. Brian H. said he noted that another man was trying to talk the suspect down, but the suspect kept yelling, F you Zionist. You all deserve to die. You've killed these children. He was very erratic. He was shouting and spewing terrible things at different people. After calling 911, Brian H. approached to see if he could assist any victims. He described seeing an elderly woman lying on the ground unresponsive. There were several people attending to her and wrapping her up, trying to ensure she was okay. People from the restaurant from across the street were also bringing large buckets of ice water to help extinguish the flames. As you know, ice water can also help cool the victims down and cool the fire burns that they have. It's also very dangerous as well. Brian H. said he grabbed a bucket and filled it with water from a fountain in the nearby courtyard. I just kept filling that up and pouring it on their legs. Their pants were completely burned and singed off. It looked like their skin had just melted off their bodies. 4 women and 4 men between the ages of 52 and 88 years old were transported to local hospitals, one in Boulder, Denver area hospitals, as well as the Aurora, Colorado hospital burn unit. Authorities had earlier put the count injured at 6, but it was 8. The victims, like I said, were transported to local hospitals. It's clear that this is a targeted act of violence, and the FBI is investigating this as an act of terrorism. Sadly, attacks like this are becoming more common across this country. Just 2 weeks ago, a young couple that were planning on getting married. The man had already purchased a ring for his fiancée. They came out of a meeting of Jewish people over in Washington, D.C. A suspect there had a gun and opened fire on them, killing those 2 people. Then he stood there. Someone called 911 and he was arrested. This cannot ever happen again. Stephen Redfern, who's the Boulder police chief that you saw there in that video, told reporters earlier that it would be unresponsible or irresponsible to speculate on motive. I'm saying that again. That is the reason I did not come on the air last night to talk about it. I thought it was irresponsible to do that because all the evidence and all the information that we could have had was not had last night. Mr. Redfern, the police chief, told reporters that a pro-Israel gathering was taking place in the area. This gathering was a common occurrence every weekend. Chief Redfern added that multiple people were injured with conditions ranging from minor to very serious, and that the injuries were consistent with individuals being set on fire. The attack occurred hours before the holiday of Shabbat, one of the most sacred times on the Jewish calendar. Terrorism against Jews did not stop at the Gaza border. It is already burning the streets of America. Danny Naden, the Israeli ambassador to the United Nations, told the news media, Colorado Governor Jared Polis, who is a Democrat, wrote on official social media account that he was monitoring the situation, that hate is unacceptable. On a personal account, he wrote that as the American Jewish community continues to reel from the horrific anti-Semitic murders in Washington, D.C., it is unfathomable that the Jewish community is facing yet another attack here in Boulder, Colorado, on the eve of the holiday of Shabbat, no less. Several individuals were brutally attacked while peacefully marching to draw attention to the plight of the hostages who had been held by Hamas terrorists in Gaza for 604 days. I condemn this attack. I condemn this vicious attack of terrorism and pray for the recovery of the victims, according to Polis. Now, I want to remind everybody, and this is important, Colorado is a sanctuary state. Colorado is a sanctuary state. Governor Polis declared that a while back. He is allowing those terrorists, those illegal aliens, to be in not just Denver, Boulder, but anywhere in Colorado. This wasn't the case before 2000. Before April 2000, Colorado was very much a warm, friendly cowboy state. That state has changed. Ever since a governor who's now in Congress took over as the governor, ever since that happened, Colorado's completely changed. You hardly ever would see anyone from the LGBTQ community in Denver before that. Hardly ever. But all of a sudden, as of about 2003, 2004, the situations were happening in Colorado, Denver, and Boulder completely changed. Not just with the LGBTQ community, but as a sanctuary state overall. I was there. I worked as a law enforcement officer, not for the city of Denver, but for the federal government. I saw things changing. I had previously left San Diego in April 2000 to get away from the gang elements. They were haunting me. Gang elements in San Diego were stalking me. As I continued on in my career in Denver, the same thing happened there. My first arrest in Denver was actually a gang member that I had previously arrested twice on felonies in San Diego. My partner and I took him down after he tried to rob an elderly woman trying to take her purse. We arrested him, and as a result of that arrest, he looked over his shoulder and saw me. He didn't see my name tag at that point in time, but he called me by name. He recognized me. This is happening throughout the world. But here in America, it's happening in sanctuary states such as California, Colorado, Illinois, and before this last month, New York as well, and various other states around this country. It cannot be allowed to continue. Leo Terrell, who's the head of the federal task force to combat anti-Semitism and Department of Justice advisor, said this was not an isolated incident. This anti-Semitic terrorist attack is part of a horrific and escalating wave of violence targeting Jews and their supporters simply for being Jewish or standing up for Jewish lives. Yesterday in Boulder, Colorado, Jewish people marched with a moral and humane demand to ensure the return of the hostages taken by Hamas 604 days earlier. Jewish protesters were brutally attacked, with an attacker throwing Molotov cocktails at them and with an improvised flamethrower. Eric Fingerhut, who's president and CEO of the Jewish Federation of North America, said this: "The attack in Boulder is just another example of a wave of domestic terrorism aimed at the Jewish community, a wave that must be the highest priority for the Trump administration and Congress." Mr. Solomon, as I am showing you right here in these pictures, he was charged with murder in the first degree, deliberation with intent, murder in the first degree, extreme indifference, crimes against at-risk adults, elderly, first degree assault, non-family. That is the way that the Boulder police, under state law, have to charge him. Now, these charges may change slightly because the FBI has taken over the case of prosecution of Mr. Solomon. He's under arrest. He's under arrest. There is a huge bounty on his head right now. First-degree assault, heat of passion, criminal intent to commit Class 1 and Class 2 felonies, and use of explosives or incendiary devices during a felony. Let me tell you a little bit about Solomon, who's also in the United States illegally. Solomon is in the United States illegally. I want to make that point perfectly clear. He's in the United States illegally. The federal government has placed through the FBI a $10 million bounty, a $10 million bail on his head. I don't believe he will ever get out of prison. I don't believe he will ever get out of prison as of right now. Like I said, he's been arrested. He was in the United States illegally, as I said. As of this morning, there has been a fatality. But either the FBI or the Boulder Police Department was booked. He was booked into the county jail in Boulder, Colorado, with a $10 million bond. The suspect in the Boulder terrorist attack is determined to be an Egyptian man in the United States illegally. We are aware of the fully investigating a targeted terrorist attack in Boulder. FBI Director Kash Patel said, quote, "Our agents and local law enforcement are on the scene already, and we will share updates as more information becomes available." Solomon is a man whose age is 45 years old. He was arrested and taken to the hospital himself with minor injuries after his alleged attack on the Run for Their Lives group that was gathered on Pearl Street, again a walking mall in Boulder, Colorado, Sunday afternoon. The group is a grassroots organization that facilitates a global walk and run event calling for the release of Israeli hostages held by Hamas. This particular chapter of the group meets on a weekly basis. Mr. Solomon, that you see here, was allegedly yelling "Free Palestine" during the attack and other profanities. Okay, this is near the county courthouse on Pearl Street in Boulder, Colorado. FBI Deputy Director Dan Bongino said the attack is being investigated as an act of ideologically motivated violence based on early information, witness and victim accounts in the area. Solomon was first arrived in the United States after landing at the LA International Airport on August 27, 2022, with a non-immigrant visa. I repeat, he was here in the United States on August 27, 2022, with a non-immigrant visa. He was authorized to stay through February 2nd, 2023, but he never left. On September 9th, 2022, he filed a claim with the U.S. Citizenship and Immigration Services, ICE. On March 29, 2023, Solomon was granted work authorization by the Biden administration, which was valid through March of this year. And again, he was in the United States illegally. He had passed, way past his work authorization, his visa. Officials in Boulder, Colorado, and all over the United States, including the FBI, are working to assess whether the alleged attacker had any possible mental health issues. A source familiar with the investigation told news media the FBI was conducting a court-authorized law enforcement activity. A court-authorized law enforcement activity in El Paso County, which is down near Colorado Springs. a little over 100 miles from border where the suspect is believed to have lived. Suspect lived over near Boulder, Colorado Springs, not Boulder. Yesterday's attack comes less than 2 weeks after two Israeli embassy staffers were fatally shot in Washington, D.C. by a man who claimed to have been acting for Gaza. Sunday's attack took place on Pearl Street, the pedestrian mall where a weekly Run for Life event was held. This Run for Life event has been going on since mid-October 2023, just about a year and a half ago, with aims to raise awareness for Israeli hostages being held captive by Hamas. This is very bad, very bad. But the problem with this, I don't think it's going to stop. People like this man, Mohammed Solomon, they were in this country illegally, just like that suspect in Washington, D.C. Richard Smith says the whole world's going crazy. I really don't trust much of any foreigners. I agree. I have problems with that. Darla Double A says he's from Egypt. His visa was expired. Yes, he was. Now, I want to say one more thing. I believe it was the Biden administration that allowed this to happen. The former Biden administration allowed this to happen. Now, I don't think Biden personally, he personally knew anything about what's going on. But his staffers, his entire administration did. They allowed these immigrants to come in across the border and not even be vetted. Even though this man applied for a visa and stayed past it 3 times, this man knew what he was doing. This man knew what he was doing. And I don't give a flying rat's butt what his attorneys are going to say. They're going to say, well, he was out of his mind. He was crazy. Somebody like this did it deliberately. He planned this. How else do you think that he would have gotten a typical garden sprayer that usually contains chemical to spray for weeds, filled it up with gasoline, and took it out on the walking mall in Denver, or I'm sorry, not Denver, in Boulder, Colorado, and did what he did? This was premeditated. He planned on doing this. Unfortunately, there are a lot of people just like him. We've seen it in our society. Now, as for Boulder, Colorado's also always, I'm going to say always, has been a more liberal city than anywhere else in Colorado or almost anywhere else here in the United States. I'm going to say that freely. I've been in Boulder, Colorado. I've been to a restaurant over on the Walking Mall. Very nice restaurant on the Walking Mall. I've seen what happens in Boulder, Colorado. I worked with the National Oceanographic and Atmospheric Administration Police in Boulder. That's where their offices are. They have their own police department there. I've worked with them. I've seen what happens. This is a very sad state of affairs, but as long as the former president was in power, he and his administration allowed this to happen. They allowed it to happen. And until we give our FBI unfettered control to go after these illegal aliens and not have justices breathing down their back every time they breathe, telling the Trump administration they cannot arrest anyone, telling the Trump administration they cannot arrest illegal aliens or transport them out of the United States. And that's exactly what these judges are doing. These federal district judges have no business doing that. These federal district judges were not elected at all. They were appointed by various presidential administrations. Now they're trying to act as the president. These federal district court judges are acting with impunity to interfere with the office of the President of the United States. They're also interfering with our federal law enforcement. This cannot be allowed to continue. This absolutely cannot be allowed to continue ever. Not just here in mainland United States, but all over the world. We have to stand up and be counted, ladies and gentlemen. I put out a video last night somewhat in that regard. We have to stand for something. We have to stand up and be counted. We cannot allow this kind of contempt for life. We cannot allow this to continue ever again. It must be stopped, and it must be stopped now. It must be stopped now. Does anybody have any questions for me in regards to what happened yesterday over in Boulder, Colorado? Richard Smith's sleeper cells are waking up, are going to all wake up very soon. They already are. There are sleeper cells over here in the woods of North Carolina. There's sleeper cells over in Texas. There are sleeper cells in Oklahoma and Kansas. There's a lot of land out there. These sleeper cells hide in open areas. They hide in open areas until they're ready to attack. And that's what happened. Are there any questions about what happened in Boulder, Colorado? As more information becomes available, I will bring it to you. I'm not going to let this go. As I told everybody before, I'm a former federal law enforcement officer. I will not let this go. This was a provoked attack. An unprovoked attack, I'm sorry. It was an unprovoked attack. Unreal. Now in closing, I want to talk about something else that started Saturday evening. There was a solar flare, a major solar flare from the sun. The sun fired off a huge M, which is normally a mellow, average solar flare. But this was above average. It was an M8.2 solar flare on Friday. The massive solar storm also launched towards the Earth. The spot on the sun was directly in front of the Earth. Part of the sun was directly facing the Earth, and as a result, the Earth got hit with a direct blow. The big flare from what they call region 4100 had an entangled filament, a bunch of little fingers flowing off the sun, called filaments, okay? That filament slithered like a dark snake across the entire region, curved southwest part of the sun. The sheer length of that solar storm launch was as wide as the sun itself. The filament went across the sun like a little snake. Along with previous solar storm eruptions from an M-class flare earlier on Friday, we now have likely 2, if not 3, structures headed towards the Earth. And that's what we had happen. The first one hit on Saturday evening. I had a lot of people that came to me, called me, that wrote me, telling me how bad they were hurting. Their head hurt, their body hurts. That's what happens when we get hit with a massive solar flare. Okay? Now, the potential for this is we will have auroras across the upper portion of the United States and around the world. the northern portion of the United States and around the world. Now, we have had cloudy conditions here where I live in North Carolina since Friday. So far, we have not seen any auroras, but auroras were supposedly being viewed here in North Carolina and across the entire country and around the world. Okay? But we got hit with huge, heavy doses of radiation on Sunday into today. This is not a guarantee, but auroras may be visible into the Carolinas and over even into Northern California, especially in very dark locations like the deserts. Okay? This is a big deal. This solar flare was a KP6 as of today. The solar flare was a KP6 as of today. Now, I want to give you some personal preparedness tips on this. You need to really think about this. Just like preparing for an earthquake, you need to also prepare for solar flares that can hurt you. Get a kit. You need to have an emergency preparedness kit. In that kit, you need to remember that you need to protect your skin. You need to protect your skin when you go outside. Wear long sleeve shirts. Wear SPF 50 lotion. Use SPF 50 lotion. Okay? You need to be informed about what's going on. We first started talking about this on Friday. Here it is Monday, and the solar flare is ongoing. You need to prepare yourselves and your families for what's going on. Now, I've got some word from some people that the solar radiation can be very not just damaging to the skin, but it can burn you. Wear a hat. Wear a wide-brimmed hat if you're going to spend any time whatsoever outside. Wear long-sleeve shirts. Do not wear shorts at all. Wear long pants, long-sleeve shirts, and a wide-brimmed hat. And if necessary, don't go out for any length of time at all. Linda Cumberton says, don't go out unless you have to. I'm going to give you that same information right now. Do not go out unless you have to. This is a big deal. It's a huge deal, guys. A huge deal. An M class 8.2 solar flare. No, it is not. It was not an X class flare. It was not an R class flare, an S class flare, or anything else. It was supposed to be a medium rated solar flare, but it was the top of the range, being M class 8.2 flare. Again, this can be a very dangerous flare, and I'm not going to mince any words about it. This is what it looked like as of earlier today. As you can see, the plasma radiation hit or coming out from the sun and actually hit our Earth head on. Look at that. Hitting Earth head on. A big deal. It's still ongoing. It's still ongoing right now. Does anybody else have any questions about anything? Okay. Now, there were news organizations and also people on YouTube, and I'm not going to mention any names or channels, but they came on the air directly after it happened. I believe it is unethical to come out and talk about an event that no one has all the information about. That's why I did not come on the air yesterday afternoon or yesterday evening. I showed you the results of the press conference from last night with the FBI director in Boulder and also the police chief from Boulder, Colorado, Chief Redfern. I fully expect to be talking to Chief Redfern probably later today. If you have any questions, email me. If you have any questions that you would like me to ask Chief Redfern, email me. Email me as soon as you can. Let me put up our email address and our local address here. I want everybody to realize what's going on. I think it's very important that we understand what's going on at all times. Okay? Right here you have our PayPal addresses and also our Venmo address. If you want to help support this program, you can do so. And we greatly appreciate it. We greatly appreciate anything and everything that you can do to help us. Also, our mailing address is here as well. 504 Bethel Road, Box 401. Morganton, North Carolina. Zip code here is 28655. You can also send support through cards and letters, and you can stick a donation in between the cards and letters. Don't let it be seen outside the envelope. Okay? Now, something else happened earlier this morning, actually late last night, early this morning. Mount Etna erupted. Mount Etna erupted. It was a huge eruption. A huge eruption, guys. Mount Etna has been erupting off and on, but today's eruption at Mount Etna was huge. It was absolutely huge. I saw a video from it, and I'm going to tell you it's huge. Okay? Mount Etna erupted with a huge fiery show of smoke and ash, miles high. Miles high. Tonight, I will give you more information on the Mount Etna eruption. I will have pictures of it. Now, Mount Etna put on the fiery show early this morning, Monday time, in Italy, Sicily area. Smoke, ash, and fire raised up into the air several kilometers, miles into the air, but officials said that the activity posed no danger to the population. But the eruption was such that people were moving way far away outside the area of the eruption. They literally ran for cover. They ran for cover. Tremors before the eruption happened. As I've told you before about volcanic eruptions. Usually when a volcano first erupts, there's a huge shaking of the ground, typically at a 5.0 large earthquake style seismic event. 5.0 earthquake. That's exactly what happened this time at Mount Etna. There are all kinds of tremors, and then the largest quake happened. Okay? Now, the Italy's National Institute of Geophysics and Volcanology, they've already been investigating Vesuvius. They still believe Vesuvius is going to erupt. But this spectacle over in Sicily and southwestern Italy, the volcano was caused by what the southeast part of the crater collapsing. The southeast part of the crater at Mount Etna collapsed, resulting in hot lava flashes in the air with fire. Officials said the activity appeared to be easing down now. This is the 14th eruptive phase of Mount Etna in recent months. The 14th phase of eruption at Mount Etna in the past several months. As I said, Mount Etna has been erupting for a very long time, and I'll have more information about that tonight on our show. Linda Covington's here in the chat saying, how can you protect your animals who are outside? Don't let them stay outside for very long. Now, Carol and I have one of our chihuahuas loves sitting outside in the sun, laying there on the indoor-outdoor carpet on our patio. She's like that, like doing this for years and years and years since she was a pup. We do not allow them to stay outside for any length of time. We don't allow it. I'd advise all of you, don't let your animals outside for any length of time. Okay? Richard Smith says he still sees a lot of heat showing on his weather site. I agree. Today here in North Carolina, where I'm at now, we are expecting temperatures, even though it is overcast, we're expecting temperatures and humidity upwards of 85 degrees with 40% humidity. Incredible. It's going to be hot and sticky. It's going to be that way all across the United States. We talked to our daughter yesterday in northern Utah. She was telling us it was in the upper 80s then. Incredible. That he is going to be extending across the entire United States. You need to be prepared. Drink lots of water. Drink lots of water. Any other questions? Linda, that was a good question. Thank you very much for that. Any questions? Okay, guys, I'm going to get out of here. I'm going to try to be on the air in approximately an hour from now, or 4 hours from now, 4 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to try to be on the air 4 hours from now, 4 p.m. Eastern Time this afternoon. If anybody has any more information, send it to my email address, rltnspdema@gmail.com. rltnspdema@gmail.com. If you want to help support this channel, we have 2 PayPal locations and a Venmo location that's also scrolling across your screen as we speak. I want to thank you all for being here. Please join us again this afternoon at 4 p.m. for more information from Emergency Management Associates. We'll see you then. Have a good day, everyone.